Good evening. My name is Jasmine Dixon, and I currently teach 11th grade U.S. History at Doherty Comprehensive High School. I am in my first year of teaching high school. I've been teaching for 10 years. I did 9 years at the middle school level, and this is my first completed year as a high school teacher. I think this course has been very beneficial for me as a high school teacher because not only has it allowed me to reform my instructional practices, but it's also allowed me to examine the way that I teach my students and understand the importance of providing my students with opportunities that prepare them to be successful in a more interconnected and global society. As the world we live in becomes more interconnected, it's vitally essential that we as educators adapt our instructional practices to ensure that students learn to think critically, not only about themselves, but about how they influence the world around them. Teaching global education is essential because we are living in a society that is heavily influenced by international connections. Our students, the daily experiences of our students constantly they're being constantly influenced by the transnational, the cross-cultural, the multicultural, as well as the multi-ethnic interactions that happen on a daily basis. And so it is because of this that we as educators, especially social studies educators, must embrace global education because if we don't do this, we're only contributing to the social instability that exists in the current society and contributing to the conflict that exists between cultures and countries and people around the world. I think students learn best when education is relevant to their lives, and we as teachers must not only remember that we have to teach facts and details, but we also must teach students to learn to connect the past to the present and provide students with opportunities to connect the past to the present. Because doing this helps them to not only make sense of the past, but also understand and make sense of the world that they live in, and also allows them to find a voice in this world. I think a lot of times in a social studies classroom, students are taught and the teacher does most of the talking while the students do most of the listening. But I think through global education, it allows students to develop a voice and have an opinion about the information that they're being presented with. Connecting what these students have learned to relevant current events helps the students to not only be more in tune with what's occurring around the world, but it also helps them to develop relevance in the content that we are exposing them to. There are many instructional practices that can be incorporated in the classroom on a daily, in a social studies classroom on a daily basis to prepare students for success in an interconnected society. I think one of the most important things in teaching, especially in social studies education, is teaching bias. Because when examining historical events, we as teachers tend to teach from a one-sided point of view. And I think by allowing students to explore history from multiple perspectives allows them to become more aware of the past, as well as having some responsibility in forming opinions about the information that's being presented to them. I think this allows students to analyze viewpoints other than their own. It also helps them to determine fact from opinion, and we know that it's very important in the world that we live in, with social media playing a vital role in a lot of misguided or incorrect information being presented as reliable sources of information. And so I think that teaching that fact from opinion, or being able to identify fact versus opinion, and also not only identifying fact versus opinion, but identifying real sources of information has a major impact on transitioning or transforming the way our students think. One of the strategies that I learned from this course that I found to be very beneficial in my U.S. history class, I incorporated it quite frequently prior to, but I think me exploring this topic in this course has helped me to understand why what I'm doing is so important, which is allowing my students to interact with other students from around the world. One of the things that I found to be very helpful with this is Skype. Skype allows our students to have real world conversations with a variety of people, various people, from all around the world. And I think this allows them to get an opportunity to break down any cultural barriers or any stereotypes that may exist due to their lack of or inexperience of interacting with people other than those like them. I think another great strategy that I'm going to look more into exploring is virtual field trips. I know Google has something called known as Google Expeditions, which provides a opportunity for students to explore the world around them without ever leaving the classroom. I know funds are a big source in education, and a lot of times the funding doesn't always allow students to get to leave the classroom to experience learning. But I think virtual field trips gives them the opportunity to experience different cultures, and it also creates a sense of awareness and connectedness to new people and places that they don't normally get to experience. I think virtual field trips allow these students to develop empathy, which is, I think, very critical and essential in today's society. I think we as educators must go beyond the textbook of social studies education, and definitely beyond the point of fact and recall lessons. Social studies teachers have a large responsibility in preparing our students to become successful in a world that thrives off of human connection and human experience. So incorporating some of the strategies that I stated previously gives students the opportunity to collaborate with people from different cultural backgrounds. It also helps them to develop an appreciation for the common humanity. I think it allows them to understand different religious traditions, and it also helps them to understand the influence that they can have, that they possess, and the power that they possess, and it encourages them, and it gives them the drive and the motivation and the courage to work to not only improve the human relationships around them, but the world around them, the environment, changing and fixing poverty, all which contribute to their global awareness. We as teachers must teach our students that in order for us to thrive as a human race, they must do their part as stewards in a complex yet peaceful society. And ways of doing this is making sure that we just prepare them while they're in the classroom with the knowledge and the skills that they need to go out and be the change that we wish to see. Thank you.